When it comes to understanding your credit report, there is a ton of different things that go into it. We're going to be covering all of them in this video and really breaking down the credit report, what it kind of entails, what it is, what it isn't, things that are included, and also things that are excluded on your credit report. So thinking of your credit report, it is a snapshot of your financial history. It has your payment history in there. It has a lot of other information as well that lenders use to make decisions. And then based on credit score, a majority of them do base any of your rates on your credit score itself. So it's very important to make sure that your credit score and your credit report is accurate anytime that you're going to apply for credit and seeking to get a loan. Now, of course, basic information, your full name is on there, aliases, nicknames, birth year, spouse's name, current address, previous address, employers, previous employers, and your social security number. So again, making sure that this information is 100% accurate and that they are getting your correct information, especially if you do have names that are very similar, like a John Smith. That can be construed, or credit reports can actually get mixed up by typos and social security numbers. And I've actually seen financial institutions pull the incorrect credit report for the wrong individual. Now, housed within the credit report itself, you do have the types of accounts that you use, the dates they were open, credit limits, loan balances that you do have on current open loans and closed loans, what those balances are, and also a payment pattern over the last 2 years. So the credit report is a really big, very truthful insight when it comes to your report and your payment history. If there's late payments on there, you're going to see them. I've had a lot of individuals that have even said, I've never had a bankruptcy. Pull their credit report, bankruptcy is on there. Never had collections account, you pull the credit report, collection accounts are on there. Now, with collection accounts in general, they do stay on there for a certain amount of time, which we're going to be discussing. But when you look at collection accounts, businesses can put things on collection accounts. Doctors, hospitals, banks, credit unions, retail stores can even have collections. Utility companies, mobile phone providers. I don't know how many times that I've pulled credit reports. I've seen medical collections on there. I've seen a lot of things from Verizon, from AT&T, from Xfinity. Most of those are not people who did not return items such as cell phones, as systems, boxes, cable boxes, things of that nature were not returned to them. So they sent it to collections. And a lot of things on here, people do not realize or do not even know that it is on collection or in a collection status until it actually gets to the charge off or the collection point. The charge offs, this means that a creditor has written off an account and it is closed to future charges. So majority of the times that when we see a charged off account, it's a little bit further than a collection account, because a charged off account actually goes to another debt collection agency. So if, for instance, again, I'm Verizon, you have a bill with me, the bill is remaining unpaid, they can actually take it, just send it to a collection agency. That means Verizon no longer has a claim to those funds. They sold it off to a collection agency, and the collection agency is going to be actively managing that, also collecting funds if you do decide to pay that. But they really take it for pennies on the dollar, trying to get money on an account that essentially the creditor or the individual you had the account with could not collect money on. Now, with this being said, there is a statute of limitation for how long this can go on. However, it is state by state. The state law does determine the statute of limitation, and it is kind of like a stopwatch, is how they kind of generalize it, is the date of the last activity is when essentially the stopwatch is completed or it starts, and the stopwatch may start over depending on the state if it is sent to a creditor or another collector to go ahead and file a lawsuit. Now, of course, when it comes to crediting or when it comes to delinquent credit, there is also ability where, depending on the amount, they can take it further. They could garnish your wages. They could require it to be paid. They could even require you to go to court to really collect debt. Now, credit reporting timelines. This is very important to note, guys, because a lot of people will go and they will pay off a bunch of debt. In a week later, they'll go ahead, they'll pull their credit reports. All of the debt is still reporting on there. For a majority of financial institutions, they report one single time and one single time a month. For a majority of them, it is the first of the month. Now, things that are on your credit report can remain on your credit report for 7 years. Reporting time limits are 7 years for negative entries. This is the reason why when you have a collection account, it is very imperative that you pay it off, even if you settle for less than the full amount. But paying off those collection accounts, you don't want 7 years of your adult life with your credit score affected because of a collection account. I've seen collection accounts on credit reports for $7 for a library book, $20 for a late fee for a gym. Kind of crazy to think the cost of getting an item to a collection account, sending it to, a third party to collect for $7 for a public library that is local here. So again, kind of crazy. Now, really, when it comes to the time for missing that first payment going into collections, that is kind of the 7-year window that you do have on the credit report. Now, there are a few exceptions to this. Bankruptcies may be reported for 10 years from the date of the final order. So for a majority of people, if you have ever been through a bankruptcy or know someone who's gone through a bankruptcy, the bankruptcy might take 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, whatever it is to settle the bankruptcy. The reporting time of the bankruptcy starts when the bankruptcy is discharged, when it is completely done. That starts your 10-year time frame. Now, in addition, federal student loans can be reported indefinitely as long as they are delinquent. That is right. Student loans, there was a point in time where a lot of people were just declaring bankruptcy, wiping out their entirety of student loans. But if you think even, many years ago, federal government took over a majority of the student loans. They also excluded them from bankruptcy. So you cannot actually file for bankruptcy when you do have student loans, or they cannot be included in the bankruptcy, which means they are going to stay down there. Now, in addition to the student loans, civil judgments, tax liens are not on their credit report. Members need to dispute them if they appear on the credit report. And the expiration of credit reporting time limit does mean that debt is no longer owed. So if the debt is no longer on there, it doesn't mean that it's not owed. It just meant that it went to the point of it getting expired. Now, there is also public records that are out there, repossessions, foreclosures, bankruptcies, court-related to anything monetary can be recorded on there. Now, when it comes to the credit report itself, inquiries are really what we're looking at. So inquiries include all creditors that want to go in there and access your credit report. So when you actually pull your credit report, you will see anyone who has done a hard inquiry for anything for the past 2 years. And this is really imperative because if you're looking to seek new credit, and if you do an inquiry, it is going to be a hard hit. If you're looking for an auto loan, if you're doing a mortgage, applying for a credit card, it is a hard inquiry and it is going to be shown on there. Now, for a lot of creditors, if you're seeing a lot of inquiries, meaning that you went out there, you tried applying for 18 different credit cards, they can actually deny you on the basis that we don't know how many of those credit cards you got approved for. We don't know what the credit limits are, because at the point, if you were getting approved for those lines, they're not reporting on your credit card or your credit report as of yet. So a lot of lenders will not be able to see that. Now, if you do find inaccuracies on your credit report, you have to file them with the Bureau. There's actually a way, depending on if you're going through Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. Now, a majority of them, they're supposed to, and again, kind of take this with a grain of salt, but they are supposed to report to each other. So if I pull my free credit report through, let's say, Equifax, correct all the information that is on there, they are supposed to share that information with other credit reports or other credit agencies within 30 days to really make sure that the information is accurate across all of my credit reports. Now, there are also a lot of things that do not appear on your credit report: criminal records, debt ratios, income, length of employment, residency, marital status, medical history, personal background, lifestyle, political preferences. All of these are excluded, as well as a couple additional things not on the credit report. Financial obligations could also, some of them usually are not on there. A majority of these I do not see on there. It says child support or alimony. Child support I have seen on credit reports. Civil judgments, indebtedness, medical groups or facilities that are owed. Payday loans do not report. Tax liens do not report. Most of the unpaid rent does not report. So if you don't pay your rent, however, again, kind of take that with a grain of salt, because I've also seen companies that do report rent, they report utilities, they report everything in their entirety to the credit card companies, or excuse me, the credit reporting agencies, meaning that they are going to show on there. Now, of course, when you look at this very, very big picture, this produces a credit score. And a credit score, of course, is very important because it's broken into a couple different categories. They really do the 5 C's of credit. This is information that financial institutions use to go ahead and extend credit for the individual. The first C of this is your character. based on the objective measures of past behavior and the likeliness of individuals to repay. This can be based on the length of residency, length of employment, nature of the credit history, and the frequency of credit inquiries. Really builds the character. And now remember, if you're just looking at a credit report, let's say you're down in a lending department, if you're just looking at the credit report, you don't have someone in front of you, you don't know the story, you don't know anything about the individual, you are literally just seeing the numbers and building the story based on what is provided within that credit report. The capacity. Now, we've talked about capacity before when it comes to your credit cards, indicating how much do you have available in relationship to how much do you have borrowed. That is huge when it comes to your credit score because, of course, let's say we have a $10,000 limit. We are using $8,000 of that card. We are using 80% of the capacity of that card. Now, for credit reporting purposes and for credit cards, we want to see about a 30% utilization or less, which means you're living outside of your means at that 80% or the $8,000 on the card, and you're supplementing your income with credit card debt. There's no reason that credit card should be that high. Again, 30% utilization is really what you want to look at. And of course, number 3 of the 3 C's is capital, is the amount of the money the member has. When you look at an entire relationship, do they have the ability to repay the loan that they're borrowing? And at what rate? What does the debt to income ratio looks like? And the big one for the 4th C is collateral. If they do not pay, what is the chances that I can actually get paid back? So if you have an auto loan, a boat, a jet ski, a home, if you fail to make your payments as a lender, they can take your collateral back. Very important C, because you're losing your house, your car, your boat, your jet skis, whatever you have, and the vehicle or whatever they do repossess can be sold at auction, trying to recoup some of the money. That is the reason why if you go to financial institutions, it is going to be much cheaper and a much lower rate if you have anything that is tied to collateral, because they have the ability to repossess that item if you're not making payments. And the final one of the 5C is conditions, including the purpose of the loan, the amount that you're requesting, the current interest rates, and the state of the economy. Now, of course, interest rates are going to be really determined by the state of the economy. So really making sure that you know exactly what you're looking for, what the value is, where your interest rate is going to be. And question to ask yourself is, can you afford this payment? Very important to make sure that your DTI is going to be in line, and it's very easy to calculate with your debt to income ratio, which we'll cover in another video. Now, before extending credit, again, some of the things that you really have to ask yourself. Number 1, where's my credit score? Very important, because like I said earlier, credit scores are going to determine the rate that you're going to get for something. Does that mean maybe you wait, 30, 60, 90 days, clean up your creded report, maybe pull your credit report, see there's some collection items on there, get them paid off, get them squared away, get them taken care of. What debts and obligations are really on there? How much money are you allocating to this loan? These are things that you need to think about before you go to take a loan, guys. When you're looking at your budget, when you're kind of running all of your numbers, if it comes back and says, okay, well, looking at my budget, I can afford a car payment of $400. That is really the cap. That is where you need to put the line in the sand, where you need to be shopping for a vehicle that is going to be at that $400 payment or considerably less, depending on what you're looking for. Now, that doesn't mean, hey, I can really swing the payments here, or I don't know exactly how much I'm going to owe. I'm not including the price that I'm going to have to pay for insurance. So if your payment is $400, you do have to cover the cost of insurance as well. So again, knowing and prepping exactly what you need when you go in to get that loan. Now, there's a lot of credit report warning signs that we see: missed or late payments, credit cards at their capacity, closed a lot of credit cards, shopping for credit excessively. That is the inquiry piece. Numerous accounts on a very short amount of time, and transferring balances is a bad sign that you could possibly have some issues with managing your credit, with managing your debt. And overall, there are a lot of reasons why you can get rejected for a loan. So if you've got rejected, guys, let me know in the comments. Going through this list: accounts are in collections, bankruptcy or foreclosures, charged off accounts, no credit history. That is right. Even if you don't have a credit score, so you don't have good credit, you don't have bad credit, you just don't have any credit, majority of financial institutions will not lend to you, especially when it comes to banks, because you have no credit established. They don't have a history. without basing it on that history, they will not go ahead and lend to you. Incorrect or incomplete information on credit applications, limited time of residency. So if you're moving a lot of credit inquiries within the last 90 days, and of course, no relationship, no checking, no savings, no credit file, very little history, no telephone number, short job time, slow payment history, a lot of things that can affect your credit report and your credit worthiness as a borrower. Now, in summary, guys, credit reports and credit scores are tools that financial institutions use to extend credit based on the credit worthiness that we talked about in this video. Credit scores should not be used as the sole deciding factor to extend credit. However, for a majority of financial institutions, banks and credit unions, and also online lenders, a lot of different places rely it solely on the score. And again, score kind of dictates the rate, which of course we've seen across the multitude of financial institution. So if you got a 650 score, you're getting an 8%. If you have a 720 score, you're getting a 6%. Even though the approval might look a little bit different, but overall the determining factors on getting that credit rate and getting the score is determined by the financial institution. So before you're looking for a loan, remember, check your credit report regularly, make sure that everything is correct, monitor your progress in there. So a majority of places, credit cards, bank accounts, even credit unions do have credit score trackers. Very easy to see exactly where your score is. So, going in to get a loan, you can say my score is roughly, a 730 score. I have A+ credit. I know I should get the best rate at a financial institution just based on the score that was given to me. Making sure that everything is right. There's no collection accounts on there and everything is cleaned up credit wise. All right, guys. So that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.